Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. Oh my gosh, look at that panel of Batman. You have the absolute, you have the deluxe. DC Comics firing on all cylinders.
Reborn and rebranded. What happens when you fuse with another person's body and memories, but have the makings, trappings, and also the kindling of a superhero with unlimited abilities? This is a first look at DC Finest Supergirl Body and Soul, and you are watching Near Mint Condition. Hello everybody, my name is Dom of Near Mint Condition, guy behind the microphone, the manager, and the wannabe know-it-all. Today we've got a look at the DC Finest Supergirl Body and Soul trade paperback, one of the most anticipated DC Finest releases of the year for me. I feel like I've said that at least once every month, but man, we definitely have a good one in store for you today. This is a look at the front cover, featuring the issue number 9 cover done by... Here is a look at the front cover for DC Finest Supergirl Body and Soul. This is ripped from issue number 9, of course, done by superstar creator Gary Frank, who back then wasn't as widely known, I believe, as he is today. And if we take a look at the spine, we also have, again, Body and Soul. 1996 to 1998 are the featured years here. And then a pinup by Gary Frank that is going to be a very much a recurring theme as you flip through the book. And then here on the backhand side, we do have the same old, presenting DC Finest comics and stories with the same 8 covers, 1996 to 1998, and a quick synopsis below. Now, I actually do want to take a little bit of time just to compare it with another volume, which is its counterpart from the 1960s, and that is Supergirl, the Girl of Steel, which of course was the proper introduction of Supergirl to the mythos and mythology of the universe as a whole, DC Comics anyways. The gradients are actually about the same. If we look here on both ends, you can see that the hue and gradient kind of drops out and tips in a little bit at the top, where the transparency actually allows the front of the cover to slip down right below the DC Finest black and yellow stroke rectangles. And it is the same for both, and I actually really appreciate the uniformity when it comes to a line such as this. This is good. This is what it's going to look like if you place Supergirl, at least if you have both of these volumes side by side on the shelf. We can see on the right hand side that the DC logo is a lot more saturated than its counterpart on the left, and of course the pinups that are featured on the spine highlighting the differences between Silver Age art and, of course, as my books are allowed to fall, the art of the 90s featured by Gary Frank. And that saturation also follows, as if I may, if you look on the left-hand side, we can see that the blue that they use on the left, which is sort of a, I don't know, it feels a little bit lighter in terms of saturation than the right hand does. I don't want these books to fall, and unfortunately my arms are allowed to be stretched as well here. But enough of the comparisons. I want to talk about just how awesome Peter David Supergirl is. Let's go ahead and crack open DC Finest Supergirl Body and Soul, mostly by Peter David, but we have a lot of different creators in this select title as well, such as the Kessels, Barbara and Carl Kessel, who were also on some Superboy books. We have Chuck Dixon and Vincenzo, I believe is how you say the last name, but I'll get to that in just a minute. Here we do have the cover credits this time from Gary Frank, who was the main penciler, at least for the first 9 issues of the series. Cam Smith, who was the inker, and Pat Martin. And we also have all of the estates down listed at the bottom for the specific creator credits for those appropriate characters. We also have on the left-hand side the same editorial information as was the previous. Still over at Salisco, still over everything. Didn't miss anything. And then on the right-hand side, and another minor quibble that I feel like I always have with some of these DC Finest is that the table of contents this time have no writing credits, artist credits, or colorist credits as they do for the Silver Age book, Golden Age book, some of the Bronze Age related material as well. Very much just like the modern Wonder Woman DC Finds that we got, Origins and Omens. This table of contents only has the cover credits listed if it is not by Gary Frank, Cam Smith, and Patrick Martin. So here we do have showcase number 8, along with the covers to the annuals, which were not drawn by Gary Frank. So we had Joe Chiodo and Ron Wagner there on the left-hand side. We also do not have the appropriated marks for the age warning, not even the age warning, just the content warning as those were printed in different times. Being a post-crisis on Infinite Earths book, you are going to, well, not get those same due warnings listed there. This book is listed at 568 pages of comic book goodness and content, and collected in this is the appropriate showcase issue, 96, number 8, Supergirl issues 1 through 18, Supergirl Plus issue number 1, and Supergirl Annuals issues 1 through 2. So that is all collected in here. Where else has this been collected? Well, I'm glad you asked. This has been collected in thin trade paperback formats before. This was also recollected in collected editions that came out back in 2016, so halfway through. The 2010s, they decided to print these in the Supergirl by Peter David books in the sort of complete collection, epic collection type of thicker trade paperbacks before the line shut down after Volume 4. So we still have half of this uncollected, and it is partly unfortunate that they did decide to do that. I have so many things to say about the specific book and so many things that I want to delve into because this was definitely one of my more favorite experiences as far as the DC Finest line has been concerned, much like Static Shock earlier in the month of October of 2025. But some people might not know who the Supergirl is. They might think it's Kara Zor-El. They might think that they have the same sort of origin story as some of the other Supergirls, because this, unfortunately, is a different Supergirl. So I am going to explain as succinct as it might, as spoiler-free as I can be, which I think is going to be absolutely impossible here considering the subject matter and also the place and time that this book was written in. After the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, or just a little bit during it, we have this brand new character who is called Matrix, and she arrives from a certain pocket dimension. If you just look it up, it literally is quite called Pocket Dimension, and she made her debut as the brand new Supergirl in this post-Crisis on Infinite Earths world where we only have the one world that just happens to have all of the DC heroes that are in it. So after we have that entire debacle, we have this character called Matrix who forms and creates this, or jumps into a romantic relationship with the current world's Lex Luthor. That Lex Luthor is that same Lex Luthor that you see in Crisis on Infinite Earths, or Alexander Luthor, as I would like to call him. And I believe at the time they had that character's brain placed inside a young body. So you saw him with the beard, and he looks pretty good, at least on the outside. And you have her being in events such as Death of Superman. So you have this character called Matrix who is just a big part of the overall storyline. After the events of Zero Hour, and if you have not had a chance to get to Zero Hour, it is available via the events trade paperback line for the DC Finest Evergreen collection. You have this merging of not only Matrix, but this girl who is called Linda Danvers, and that Linda Danvers is the Supergirl that you are going to be effectively reading in this book, to become an angel. And this is where this Supergirl lies. This is effectively the third Supergirl that we have in DC continuity, and this is the one that you are going to be reading in Peter David's Supergirl. I say all of this because it is referenced. Everything that I just previously mentioned with the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths and the Pocket Universe are placed in nice summary dockets at the start of the first 8, 9 or so issues of Supergirl. So, for example, we have here issue number 6. It does have a little bit of a recap, so you are not completely confused. But the nice thing that Peter David does is that not only does he take you up to speed, he effectively adds to the ongoing story with what I truly believe is the best Supergirl run, not only that I have read, but also has ever been out there. And I'll get to everything right now, everything that I have teased earlier or so in the video. We start off this book with the showcase issue. Issue number 8, where it is drawn by Terry Dodson, who actually was very surprised that Terry Dodson drew a Supergirl story here in the 90s. And what you get to see in that short stint that we have, it sort of sets the tone for the rest of the series, is Linda facing a dilemma. And somebody asks, well, why do you do the things that you do? Why do you decide you need to be a superhero? Why do you go out there and help people? And Supergirl sort of mentions a little bit of one of the facets in her life where she is tasked with two things. She is tasked with saving this woman who is about to give birth, and she needs to head to a hospital. But at the same time, she also has to save somebody under strict duress of, let's just call it, rocks on their cars. And it's either or. Do I save one life for the span of 2, or is it vice versa? And that's sort of what she has to deal with. Why would I go save somebody if I can't? Like, how many people can you realistically save in the span of your superhero life? And that really is going to be the facet and theme of this book, is going to be a lot of difficult decisions that Linda has to face. Now, while you have that sort of moral dilemma as a superhero, Linda also has to deal with the struggles of finding herself. This book really does come down to 2 allegorical, metaphorical ideals. The first of which is, I believe, self-identity. This book, everything that revolves around Linda Danvers and this Matrix-infused version of the character comes down to finding out who you really are as a character, who you really are as a person, and what your purpose is in this world. But Linda can't do that because all of the memories that she has are splintered. She has some of these recollections of this past life where she was this girl named Linda Danvers and has friends. You have a couple of recurring characters also in this ongoing as well, at least what we have in here, with characters such as Cutter, who is this journalist that features and teams up with her. We also have another friend of hers named Maddie, who we're introduced to in the first issue, that also happens to be a very reoccurring character and also serves as one of those, hey, you remember when we did this? And she just happens to also be incredibly close in association with the Danvers as well. And then you also have Linda's parents, who are very weirded out by sort of this appearing of her, because they think, well, our daughter has been gone and away from a very long time, but all of a sudden she not only has no scars from the events that happened to her in the past, she just happens to be in the best tip-top shape that you can think of. But while all of this is happening, Supergirl is out trying to figure out, well, who she really is, but she also gets entangled with a character known as Buzz. And this character named Buzz is not exactly the person that you want to go out with. They have a very interesting relationship that all comes to a grip, and the people that Buzz tries to get to, well, Buzz wants to be with Linda. He does believe that in his perfect world, Linda is by his side 24/7. And Supergirl is having none of that. But what you will see in this book is characters that I did not expect to pop up in a Supergirl comic that just also happen and appear to pop up. And all of those events happen within the first 9 issues of this comic, and they are also coincidentally the only 9 issues that Gary Frank draws interiors for in this run. And I do believe the timeline is that right after he finishes those 9 issues, he does a couple more covers. As you get to see later in the book, a lot of the covers are still done by Gary Frank, but he is going to be making the jump over to Image. Of course, Gary Frank, who had been a longtime collaborator of Peter David's, just from the days on Incredible Hulk, just manages to say, hey, here's my art, pops out for a couple of issues. And really the second thing that this book focuses on, there are a couple of nice one-off stories here as well, like we have in the annuals. The second thing that this book tackles is this overall notion of what constitutes an angel, what constitutes a demon. And now overall, if you have studied any of the Abrahamic religions, you find out that yes, there is a source of good and there is a source of evil. But every single one of these conversations, whether it is with Buzz and with Supergirl, or even with somebody else that Supergirl runs into, Silver Banshee and Tempest Fugit, I'm just going to say, there are characters here that pop up that I did not expect to in the Supergirl run. But every single time they manage to run into Linda, they also manage to really hone in on this idea of, can you be good if your past was fractured in one way or another? There is something here behind that Linda is struggling with. She's really struggling whether to figure out, well, is she here to actually help people? But there are people here that are constantly manipulating her, and they're pushing her towards this ideal of, I vividly remember one of the conversations going, you know, lovers can betray you, but if you have enemies, at least you know those enemies are always going to be on the opposite side of you. And really, that is what this book is tackling. You get to see characters that are in Linda's life that just can't bother to be completely trusted because maybe what they're telling about her former life just isn't what it necessarily was, but they want to mutate her and give Linda this image that this is really who she is. And the back and forth struggle and the way that Peter David just manages to make this into a full semblance of what I believe is a really fantastic ongoing. Just happens to be one of the most thrilling runs that I've read, and also one that had me thinking of multiple things inside my head. And for that, I have to commend the late legendary Peter David now for creating something where there are buttons that are going to be pushed, and in ways that I previously had never thought of, and it just makes this experience all the greater. You also have a couple of other artists who are on this title as well. Greg Land, before, I'll just say 2004. I'll give a rough estimate there. Very different art style. You have Prentice Rollins, who inks him. He is also in 2 issues of this book. But Leonard Kirk, who would later go on to draw a decent amount of Peter David's run on X Factor, joins him here on Supergirl, and it is very, very nice to see. We also have the Supergirl Plus annual, the Supergirl Plus issue with Mary Marvel. Ended up being one of my favorite issues in this book. I'm not going to spoil what happens in it, but I believe you should go read it for yourself. It is fascinating. It's about runaway families, and also respect to authority and disrespect to authority when prompted and needed, and I will keep it at that. We also have annual number 2, which is a story by Tom Peyer that has Linda leading Brainiac 5, I do mean, and you will have to read it for yourself to see how that love story, if there even is one, turns out. And I'm very happy that DC decided to reprint DC Finest Supergirl. I know that a lot of people are looking forward to having this in omnibus one day, but I'm very happy with this nonetheless. And that, as I say, with no extras, is that. Now, if you're looking for more of these DC Finest stories, especially the Supergirl book, check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code near mint condition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
Alright, that's going to be it from me. I'm Dom of X. Please let me know down in the comment section if you not only enjoyed this run, are you going to pick up this DC Finest? And if so, are you going to enjoy it? Let me know. That is going to be it from me. Please stay safe, everybody, and have a wonderful day wherever you are.